Hey, Walter Sorrells back with more tips for the knife maker. Today, reviewing a new sharpener. Awesome or garbage? So this is the third review I've done of an Eastern European made knife sharpener, all of them based on reasonably similar designs. The KosiM, made in the Ukraine, is probably the most affordable of the three. The basic design, like the other ones, is quite functional and effective. I would say what differentiates the KosiM from the others is mainly price. It's a bit cheaper, running in the $175 range depending on where you get it. A good deal of the price, I should mention, is in the stones, which can be purchased separately. It's a little hard to compare price though, as there are differences in the accessories, the type and the range of stones and all this between these various models out there. Now that said, this one's probably a little bit less robustly engineered, some people might say over-engineered, than some of the more expensive alternatives, so that makes sense. But from here on out, I'll just focus on the KosiM. The basic idea is fairly simple. There have been sharpeners in this general realm for quite a while, but here's how it works. Basically, you have a clamp for holding your knife, and it has a little detent axle in the middle, which allows you to flip from side to side pretty easily so you can sharpen both sides at the same time. The clamp bars are adjustable, so you can sharpen everything from small pen knives to fairly long kitchen and camp knives. I should also mention that KosiM makes two sharpeners, of which this is sort of the flagship model, and they're planning to release more of them over time. Coming out of the simple aluminum base, there's an adjustable center post here. Attached to the post is a sharpening assembly that allows you to mount standardized abrasive stones into a little dovetail mount. You can adjust the sharpening assembly to different heights, which allows you to sharpen at different angles. You can also adjust these stops, which allow you to tailor the throw of the sharpener to accommodate different widths and lengths of blade. This way, you don't overshoot and ding up the edge of your knife by dropping the abrasive stone off the blade. There's also a little parking hook so that when you're not sharpening, the stone won't just be hanging out there on top of your knife. KosiM also offers several different varieties of sharpening stones. I should mention that these are actually interchangeable with stones that some similar designs use. KosiM, however, has their stones made specifically for them. It's basically their own recipe unique to them. Here's a quick view of how it assembles. Once you know how it works, it takes a good solid 2 minutes, so it's easy to pack up and store if you don't want it cluttering up your workbench. Quick note here, if you like what we're doing, hit up my Patreon page and help support the channel. All you have to do is support this channel at any pledge level, and not only will you help me bring more reviews like this one and more cool knife making projects, but you'll also have access to tons of plans from many of the projects I've done on this channel over the 10 plus years that I've been making these videos. All right, back to work. Now let's show it in action. You want to clamp the sharpener to the edge of your bench or table so you can flip these clamp bars back and forth. If you don't, it'll bang into your table. If you're doing a small knife, you can even just use one clamp and it'll work fine. Tighten it with the enclosed little hex tool. Now you can clamp the stone in here. It's spring-loaded, so you just adjust the end once when you first get it to achieve proper clamping force, and you're good for the duration. Changing stones takes virtually no time at all. My kit came with a couple of sets of different stones, but each set ran from 150 to 1200 grit. Honestly, I'm not sure if these grits are US grit sizes or some others. For those of you who don't know, there are all kinds of different grit standards, and different countries do them different ways. Adjust the stops so the throw of the sharpening stroke matches your blade size. KosiM offers several different kinds of oil tailored for different types of stone. Like I said, you can purchase a variety of different stones depending on what you intend to sharpen and how fast you want to get the work done. They're made of bonded abrasives on a dovetailed aluminum substrate. Right now, KosiM sells two types, aluminum oxide and silicon carbide, but you can find all kinds of other things from some of the other manufacturers that will fit in here. Diamonds, CBN, all kinds of different stuff, with prices going up accordingly. Talking to Konstantin, the owner of the company, he stressed that the stones they offer are exclusive to them, and he really believes they have an advantage on that front. Both sets of sharpening stones that I received, the aluminum oxide and the silicon carbide, cut quite quickly and aggressively. He recommended using the aluminum oxide for carbon steel knives and the silicon carbide for harder steels, vanadium steels, and hard stainless steels and that sort of thing. Now, I keep my knives reasonably sharp, but I'm not a maniac about it, and I was able to run through all the grits and get all of my main kitchen knives, 4 or 5 chef's knives, and a couple of smaller knives, just stupid sharp in around half an hour to 45 minutes. A pocket knife will take even less time, so you can really get a moderately dull knife back to shaving sharp probably in 5 minutes or so. Now, obviously how quickly you can sharpen a blade depends on a lot of factors. If you're sharpening a really dull knife made from some kind of high vanadium super steel, it's obviously going to take a little longer. There's nothing on the KosiM to indicate the cutting angle that you're sharpening your knife to, and personally I don't see that as much of a drawback since you can just do like this. If you want to know the exact angle you're sharpening to, you can just use an electronic angle finder, so you can repeat a particular cutting angle time after time. Haven't got one of these? Naturally, there are apps that do this, so you can do the same thing with your phone. A few of the refinements. The post features a micro-adjustable stop here, so that if, say, you want to make the final angle on your finest sharpening stone just a hair steeper, to ensure a really clean edge, you can do that sort of thing. The detent on the swivel here is adjustable, so you can make it tighter and more rigid, or looser and easier to switch back and forth. There's also a little block with magnets on top. This is so you can do the angle gauge trick that I showed you earlier. Just perch the gauge on the block and it won't fall off. Drawbacks? No documentation in English. Now that's not really a big deal. You can kind of look at the picture on the website and you can pretty much figure out how they fit together. I'll link to that in the description. You can also find their sharpeners on places like Etsy and eBay. Make sure though, if you want this particular one, that you don't mistake it for the lower priced model, which is a little more bare boned than this one. Bottom line, the KosiM is an excellent sharpener. Is it quite as bulletproof as some of the more expensive competitors? Well, probably not. Does it have as many little attachments and gizmos as some of its competitors? Again, maybe not. However, it's a good deal cheaper and it does a great job. So what more could you ask for? All right, thanks guys, and see you soon. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what we're doing here, please subscribe and make sure that you click on that bell so you get notified of all the latest videos. Want to buy a knife from me? Check out my modern blades at tacticsarmory.com. Digging the channel? You can support our video making efforts on Patreon. You know, I've been banging away on these videos for like 10 years, so I hope you'll show some love for all that hard work. Link in the cards and descriptions. Finally, if you're interested in making Japanese swords, check out my full line of Japanese sword videos where I show how to forge Japanese swords as well as how to polish them and how to make fittings, handles, and scabbards. WalterSorrellsBlades.com.